Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2019 book Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. Came out October 2019. So Tristan Strong punches a hole in the sky. I don't know why I can't talk right now. Written by Kawami Imbalia. I'm going to be butchering names and places. I do apologize in advance. This version I have has a, what is this? Nonviolent Society Change, Brotherhood, Honor, Peace, Coretta Scott King Award. Oh, I didn't know Coretta King has awards. That's pretty cool. So this is another installment in the Rick Riordan Presents book series about different cultures, hashtag own voices. I'm gonna put my glasses down for a bit. So Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky is about Tristan Strong. You see him right here. Now, these little things are called Federlings, these little chain monsters and steel monsters. And this here's John Henry, folklore legend hero that he is, with his hammer. So I know of John Henry through certain stories. I like fairy tale stories. I know of like Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Brer Bear from, again, little folk tale stories. I don't know that much of it, but there, of course, there's, The Song of the South. It's a 1940s Disney film, extremely racist nowadays. It was racist back then, but it was different protocols, different laws and such. So Splash Mountain in the Disney parks are being revamped to The Princess and the Frog. I'm so excited. Princess Tiana is incredible. Prince Naveen from Moldonia. He is awesome. He's pretty cool. So yeah, so that's a lot of people's reference to Brer Rabbit is Splash Mountain in Disney, which I guess is okay because they don't know the actual like folklore behind it, but stories are important, So in this particular book, it is 482 pages long. I read this super quick. I read this in what? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 days? I don't read that fast. I made sure to read that fast. It was, my head actually hurts. This book was incredible. And I know I say that a lot about certain things, but then I also say other books are absolute garbage on other things. This book is incredible. I'm watching it and I'm hooked within the first like 3 chapters because I'm a big fan of L. Frank Baum's Oz books, right? There's 14 Oz books. Everybody knows The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, based off, which is the movie musical in the 30s. It's the Broadway musical. It's what everyone references. But The Land of Oz, Neverland from Peter Pan, and Wonderland from Alice in Wonderland are very similar in the sense of a child, an adolescent, goes to a land to have an adventure with certain characters and animals and whatever, and then eventually winds up back home, right? In the Oz books, it's interesting because, yes, that's what Dorothy did for quite some time, but she eventually lived in Oz with her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Most people don't know that, but that's why there's 14 books. This reminded me exactly of one of those Oz, Wonderland, or Neverland type of adventures. Tristan winds up in the land of Alk, A-L-K-E. Or more importantly, he's on an island of Mid-Pass, which is a part of the land of Elk, right? The Burning Sea separates the two. There's literally a map. We get a whole map in the book, cover and back. So, who is Tristan Strong, right? Why did Rick Riordan say he cried numerous times while reading this book? This is a heartfelt book. This pulls at heartstrings. This is dramatic. This is adventurous. This is scary. This is comedic. Snarky as well for certain characters. So Tristan Strong's best friend Eddie died in a bus accident prior to this story happening. Tristan is suffering from PTSD. He's seeing a therapist. So this is very real for a 13-year-old to go through, especially in this demographic that the book is actually based for. So in all good middle school books, you have character development, right? That's what you should have in a good middle school book. Tristan lives in Chicago. His parents sent him to Alabama to the farm where his grandparents live, his grandma and grandpa. his dad's parents. So the first night he's there, now Tristan has a journal that Eddie, his best friend, had given to him with a little, I forget the word. It's like a charm on it. It's like a bookmark kind of a thing. And the grandmother recognizes the symbol that's on it, that the symbol stands for Anansi, A-N-A-N-S-I, Anansi. I'm butchering names, I'm sorry. The god of stories, the spider god. He's a he's a trickster god, for that matter. The West African version of Loki, who is Norse. Okay, except Loki's not story, but whatever. So Eddie and Tristan were putting together stories of folklore, of African folklore, of South, like American South, you know, where like slavery was, that type of folklore. So like John Henry, High John, High John's Giant Crow, Old Faithful, the Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, Brer Bear. Now, Tar Baby is not a part of this. Tar Baby was changed dramatically into Gum Baby, which I'm very happy about because Tar Baby is extremely racist. So obviously there had to be a little tweak here and there to make Gum Baby, you know, a thing. Brer Rabbit creates Tar Baby, infuses Tar Baby with a fairy, Moatia fairy. So Gum Baby is fused with the fairy in this. So she's made of like from sap from a gum tree. Adorable. 10 inches tall. She's crazy. She's fierce. She talks in the third person. Gum Baby talks about precautionary measures instead of precautionary measures. Perfect. So when Tristan is in Alabama, the very first night, Gum Baby is trying to steal the journal, right? Tristan traces her. He you know, follows her down this like hole, but like not intentionally. So like they get to this like bottle tree forest near the farm where in again folklore of African Americans 400 years ago to now would put bottles on trees to like capture haints, which are evil spirits, and it works. So Tristan is a boxer, right? So he punches in frustration a gum tree, a bottle tree, a glass bottle breaks, something escapes, a hole opens up, and everything falls. Well, Gum Baby, the journal, and Tristan and the haint fall into Alk, fall into the burning ocean, actually, which is where then they meet Ayana, and then eventually Ayana and crew are on this raft, which are trying to get people out of the burning sea, bring them to Mid Pass. There's a whole conversation in a thicket going on. We meet Brer Rabbit, we meet Brer Fox, we meet John Henry, we meet two other goddesses, and it's explained that the folklore heroes of the tales, of the stories, are actually gods of Mid Pass, are actually gods of Alk. So you have Niam as the sky god in Alk, you have the people on the ridge, Anansi is a part of Alk as well. So then there's the quest of getting the story box of Anansi to try to convince him to take the energy from the box to sew up the hole that is what Tristan had. He punched a hole in the sky. That's where the title comes from, right? So we're good. Now, Fetterlings are these creatures sent by the Mafa, who is originally part of the Burning Sea, to kidnap all mid folk, to kidnap all ridge folk, to kidnap all Alk folk. But for reasons we don't understand, really. So why is the Mafa being this villain? Why is the Mafa, M-A-A-F-A, creating these things? So John Henry and Tristan fight off some Fetterlings for a while. Tristan, a bunny named Chestnut, Gum Baby, and Ayana go to Alk to try to find the box of Niam, have a little battle there, wind up going to the ridge to get the box, but the box is broken and it's empty, so they go back to Niam, who fixes it, and then it's another trick of the trade, trying to figure out what to do. So then Tristan and company meet up with a warrior princess at the ridge who is about to kill them. Thanidwe? I can't pronounce her name, I'm sorry. Than is the first four letters, Than. So then eventually, once Tristan has the new and improved god magical, story box, it transforms into a backpack, and he winds up on the Mafa, who is now a ship, it's a slave ship, the cargo area is filled with all these people from Mid-Pass and Auk. So Tristan winds up freeing all these people. He winds up making a deal with the Mafia, saying, I will tell your story. You know, people are afraid to tell your story. You're going to be forgotten. I will tell your story because I'm an Anasasem, who is someone who tells the stories of the Anasi. And it's every time he visits a god, they give him a new charm for his bracelet, which is what Eddie's original leather charm was on the journal, right? So just because the journal disappeared when they got to Auk, when they got to Mid-Pass, Tristan's been making friends with all the gods who've been giving them his blessing. So he's got the charm bracelet, he's got all the charms of the gods, makes a deal with the Mafia, I will tell your story, which is super important to realize because this goes back to what I was saying about when we were talking about the Stormrunner and the Firekeeper, another Rick Riordan Presents imprints, talking about stories, telling complete stories. Those stories are because of literally what Zayn Bispo says. Those are his stories. Arusha and the Song of Death, when we talked about that, that was telling a complete story. Those kids agreeing to tell a Lupi's story or something like that, right? So now we have another book based off of more stories as a plot point saying, I will literally tell your story, Mafia. Just because you're a villain doesn't mean your story shouldn't be told. Everyone should know all the stories. Incredible. So it's found out that Anansi is actually tricking everyone, playing the part of Brer Rabbit, and Brer Rabbit was actually in the ship the entire time. So when the Mafia goes down and Uncle Cotton is revealed to be the Haint, the ghost that was released from the bottle, he was tricked kind of even into giving the memories and the journal back to Tristan. Tristan faces the fact that it was not his fault that Eddie died, but you know, he needs to remember that all the good times they had together, and he needs to remember to keep moving forward, things of that nature. That it's okay to ask for help, things like that. So Anansi is then punished by Niam. So Mid-Pass, they were in Mid-Pass, and then they were in Auk. That Anansi is now transformed into a phone that Tristan now has back in the real world to collect the folk stories of the people, to keep collecting the stories since the stories are now missing from the story box. So High John brings the Old Faithful to get Tristan after he says his goodbyes to everybody, goes back up to real time, where it's only been like a minute of real time, even though it's been a couple of days down there. Time has warped. And Anansi figures out how to close the hole by using the smartphone camera and some godly thread. That was pretty cool. So then Niam's agreement was that Anansi is now controlled by Tristan, kind of. They have to kind of work together to get these stories together. No less than 20 days. Didn't give an end time, but no less than 20 days. 20-day minimum. So we'll see how long in the next book they actually stay together to collect more stories. If Uncle C happens to come back, you know, how they get back to Mid-Pass, how they get back to Auk without breaking the hole again to disrupt the time forces between everything. Is the war settled between the Auk and the Mid-Pass? All of these different things, right? I'm clearly jazzed about talking about this. This is 482 pages long. My attention span is very short. So for me to be so energetic about talking about it, this book was incredible. I learned about the prison system from this. I learned about slavery from this. I learned about so many different aspects of African American culture that was brought over from West Africa when slaves were literally taken, put in ships, sent over here through the Triangle Trade. It's incredible because I learned so much. It's not incredible that all this happened, but it's incredible that I learned so much. I didn't know any of this stuff. They don't talk about this stuff in school. They don't really go into folklore and things. I'm so impressed by how this book was brought about. When it's literally about breaking the chains. These fetterlings are chains, right? Slaves were tied with chains, brought from country to country, a sea in between. And the villain was chains. What part of it was chains? To break your own chains. So it's metaphorical. It's breaking your mental chains through PTSD, trying to realize that you're not the reason your friend's dead, but also breaking your physical chains. What is physically restraining you from doing things, from being the hero you are destined to be? Incredible. I myself am about to be in tears. So I get it. I get why Rick was crying throughout some of this. There were some really deep deep points in this. I did try to not cry on my pages as much as I could, but oh my gods, alch and mid-pass gods alike. I am so amazed by this book, and I'm so amazed by how much I learned in this book. I wish all of the Rick Riordan Presents books are like that. I still have my issues with the Sal and Gabby books. I didn't read the second one yet. It's in my list. I got a stack right next to me. I got Race to the Sun next. I got Arusha and the Tree of Wishes, and then I got Sal and Gabby Fix the Universe. So we'll see how I feel after Sal and Gabby Fix the Universe. But this is why I love reading mythology, because you learn so much from different cultures and from different perspectives, that it's all about stories. Every culture, every person has a story to be told, whether you want to hear it or not. But you should be open to hearing the stories, so you learn from people's differences. This is why this was the goal of America. We have severely deterred from it, but we'll see if we can get back to it sometime soon. Hopefully. So yes, Tristan Strong punches a hole in the sky. Give it a read. Mucho mahalo.